this isn't our first like recording situation, but this is our first one in New York. And we said it even on stage last night. We couldn't put our finger on it. All we could say was, this felt like home. You couldn't have told me, like, yeah, I knew location-wise I was in New York, but you couldn't tell me I wasn't back in Oakland. Like, you couldn't have told me that, just because that same energy and that same vibe was felt in the room. And that you couldn't have told them we weren't from New York. Like, it was like that. You know, it just, that energy that was shared, and we even spoke to some of the people after, and I had to thank them for what they brought to this space. Y'all set it up with the ambiance and how everything is in this room and upstairs and all of that. Like, you guys are very intentional about making it feel like home and making people feel welcomed. And you know, New York, y'all got hospitality too. You ain't got to go to the South to get it. Y'all got it too, and I love it. And so, yeah, I mean, sound wise, it just felt warm, and I felt comfortable telling our stories in this space. So yeah, it was a unique experience from some other recordings that we've done, and probably the most memorable to date at this time for me. I can't speak for everybody, but for me, this was extra special.
I'll say that this is my experience here. I'll say it's the most intimate recording experience that we've ever had.
Yeah.
Undeniably, the aesthetic of the room, and how we were all so close together, and making and just recording our music. And it is the most intimate, and I think that feeds into. I mean, and then we had people here, like. They were like here, like up, you know what I'm saying? Everybody was forced to just love on each other. Yeah. So the love was just given, and it was reciprocated. It was like, oh, we're just giving love, receiving love, giving love, receiving. I mean, it was just a love fest in here. It was an awesome experience. And even better that something like this was happening in New York, because I know you said New York got hospitality, Lauren, but that has not been my experience in New York. So to have it in this setting, yes, it was dope.
But it felt good. You did it in New York style, we'll say.
Yeah.
Word. Last night, you definitely felt the light, right? And that love, you know, it extends itself through light, through acknowledgement. A lot of it was off of eye contact. You know what I mean? And head nods of affirmation, and sincere stares, and willingness to share proximity. But I think proximity is not only good in physical space, but having proximity when you're experiencing some of the dark spots.
Right.
Proximity, that is, like, you know, how far until the next break of light? How soon before you get some reprieve? You ever been driving through like a storm, and you under the freeway, and you go under the underpass, and you get like 3 seconds just to collect yourself? But that 3 seconds really does let you know that you could do it, right? And you just look ahead for the next 3 seconds. So we want like soul development to be that light every few spaces down the tunnel, because for real, we in dark times. But proximity also in historicizing and contextualizing what we see in today, right? Because it's not an isolated event. These are not isolated incidences. These are not all of a sudden consequences. This isn't a new phenomenon. Right. The state of black life is not a new phenomenon. The quandary that is not a new phenomenon, right? The hurt and the resolve and the hope and the determination aren't new. And we like to rest in knowing that we come from a long line of synthesizers and seers and griots.
It can be a dark world sometimes. Don't be afraid to be a source of light. It can be a dark world.